You know, if the Nintendo Direct is not in June, my theory is that Nintendo will have a September Nintendo Direct instead, since there are a lot of new Nintendo Switch games already coming out, and we know that Nintendo uses Nintendo Directs to set up the next 6 months. And the next 6 months are already pretty well set up. Not only that, but Nintendo's also going to Summer Game Fest and Gamescom, where more games will be announced by third party. So my bet is on September. Fingers crossed I'm wrong and they actually announce it within like the next couple days. Which, by the way, when do you think the next Nintendo Direct will be? And if they already announced it, what do you want to see at the next Nintendo Direct? Hey guys, it's Rob here, and welcome back to the RoboChan Show, where we take the gaming news format that channels like Spawnwave or Arlo do, add a dash of animation and some cool editing on top to bring you your gaming news, leaks, and rumors in a fresh new way. If you're new here and want to be kept up on everything gaming, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you enjoy the video and dislike if not. In this video, we are going to talk about some new updates on the Nintendo Direct rumor. If you guys remember, there were rumors about a Nintendo Direct happening the week of the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, and obviously that hasn't happened yet. Since then, some new things have come out about the Nintendo Insider PH Brazil, who is the original rumor source, and Nintendo Insider Nate the 8 is also saying some stuff, and also I want to input my own thoughts on when I think the next Nintendo Direct is and why it makes a lot of sense to not hold it in June. If you guys end up enjoying this video, make sure you guys leave a like. It helps the video reach more viewers when you do, and when that happens, I can spend more time on new animations for the show. Animations just like this. And if you want to help me reach my goal of 1,000 followers over on Twitter and interact with me, my Twitter handle is RoboRob93. Without further delay, let's get to the video. So the Nintendo Switch 2 is nearly here. In fact, it's going to be coming out very soon. Literally less than 24 hours, at least if you're picking it up at midnight, which I have already paid off my Nintendo Switch 2, so all I have to do is go there at midnight and pick it up. I was going to stream it during the midnight release, but unfortunately my computer went kaput and I had to reset the whole thing, which ended up losing a lot of stuff that I use for streaming, like layouts and all that stuff. So we're gonna have to make some new ones, unfortunately, so it'll be a little while until I'm able to stream again. But when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, especially for those who initially got it in their hands on day one, I think a lot of us are wondering, well, when are we gonna see some more games being revealed? And that's where a Nintendo Direct comes in. Nintendo usually does do a Nintendo Direct in June. They have done it almost every single year during the Nintendo Switch's lifetime. And that's why whenever you ask someone, when do you think the next Nintendo Direct is, and that time is around the summer, usually just gonna say June, because Nintendo always holds a June Nintendo Direct. Only now it's a bit different because of the Nintendo Switch 2. We know Nintendo really isn't doing everything the same. They are changing some things up. For example, we thought there was gonna be a February Nintendo Direct. There was no February Nintendo Direct. In fact, we had to wait a couple months for the next Nintendo Direct, and that was that weird Nintendo Direct that Nintendo did right before the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal. And then of course we got the Mario Kart World Direct. Now a couple weeks after that, we ended up getting a new rumor popping up by PH Brazil. Now PH Brazil has leaked other Nintendo Directs in the past, and he has been right. Whether it was a lucky guess or actual inside information, we will never know, but on face value, he has been right in the past. This is what thegamepost.com has to say about that. Now, a new rumor claims that Nintendo isn't done just yet. A new Nintendo Direct presentation is reportedly scheduled to happen either during the launch week of the Switch 2 or shortly after. This info comes from Pedro Lepe. I'm horrible with names, by the way. A known Brazilian journalist and content creator. So yeah, that was the original rumor. Now, recently, some things have changed that might be pretty bad news for a Nintendo Direct in June, at least on face value. So over on GamerRanks.com, they have an article that says insider claims they have not heard about an upcoming Nintendo Direct, and this insider is Nate the 8. This is what GamerRanks.com has to say. There has been speculation over the last week or so that there would be such a Direct either this week before the Switch 2 launches or next week when certain gaming events are also going on. It wouldn't be the worst idea for Nintendo to do, as they would capitalize on the excitement and hype of the system's release and then showcase the software that people would be playing for some time. However, according to Nate the 8, he has not heard of a Nintendo Direct coming soon. Now, since Nate the Hate has come out and said this, PH Brazil, the source of the Nintendo Direct rumor, has come out and said some things. He says, "Hey there everyone, I'm purposely trying to stay away from the message board in general since I had discovered my comments from last week found their way here. I should probably say this, I'm trying to dissociate from the whole leaker thing. I'm focusing on opinionative content creation and general reporting, which will end up being informed by leaked stuff at some point, but not necessarily. I briefly mentioned Direct stuff offhand when discussing the lead up to SFG, or SGF I mean, during a stream a couple days ago, but that was an error of judgment. I genuinely didn't anticipate the rest of the internet finding out within minutes. I don't know why I said finding like that, but that's not clearly out of my control nowadays." This next part is extremely important. He said, "The first person I heard this info from insists on it, but I've watched this film before, and with Nate the Hate hearing otherwise, I no longer believe we'll have a Direct soon. You may consider this me backtracking as it is, although I never meant to track. I don't know what their plans are, and I'm not going to talk about them publicly in case I find out. Hope you all have a fun Switch 2 launch, enjoy your games, be nice to each other, and that's it. See ya." So yeah, now PH Brazil is backtracking on the stuff that he said about the Nintendo Direct rumor. So one thing I think a lot of people are asking is, does this mean there's not going to be a June Nintendo Direct? Well, yes and no, I think. So let me explain. This has happened before. Now again, just like the June Nintendo Direct, Nintendo usually does hold a February Nintendo Direct, but they didn't. But the initial rumor was from Jeff Grubb. This is what GamingBolt.com has to say about that. And don't worry, this does have to do with the stuff that's going on right now. "I heard that there will be a Nintendo Direct this month," said Grubb in a recent episode of his Game Mess podcast. And again, it wasn't much to go on, but it was something. A pretty reliable source said, "Yeah, there will be one this month." I asked again, and then they said yes again. Back then, that's when all of the Nintendo Directs rumors started to pop up in February. But again, then Nate the Hate came out and said, "Well, I haven't heard anything on a Nintendo Direct," and we ended up not getting a Nintendo Direct. So I think the same thing is going to be happening here. I think we're not going to get a Nintendo Direct, and I think we're going to have to wait to see what Nintendo has up their sleeve. The reason why I say this is because Nintendo has a lot of stuff that's lined up for the next 6 months. Some of it's third party, some of it's from Nintendo's developers like Donkey Kong Bonanza, some of it is like indie games, but there's a lot of stuff to look forward to. I mean, heck, Pokemon Presents just got their news. That's going to be happening in July. There's going to be a Pokemon game, Pokemon Legends ZA, in October. Metroid Prime 4 is still a 2025 game as far as we know, so more than likely, since Pokemon Legends ZA is going to be in October, I'm guessing that's going to be a November game. Nintendo would be really dumb to release that game in, let's say, December or January. Why would you do that after Christmas, right? That wouldn't make a lot of sense. I don't think they're going to do that. So Nintendo would either have to hold a Nintendo Direct specifically for Metroid Prime 4, or they would have to hold a Nintendo Direct still. Now, the reason why I don't think there's going to be a Nintendo Direct is, again, the next 6 months is packed with a lot of games. Plus, we know that Nintendo is receiving a lot of third-party games, and guess what's coming up on June 6th and also in August? Gamescom and Summer Game Fest, a time where a lot of third parties are probably going to show off their games for the Nintendo Switch 2. So the next 6 months are pretty set for the Nintendo Switch, not in terms of like really big games. I mean, Mario Kart World is a big game and Donkey Kong Bonanza is a big game, but you guys know what I mean. We've been knowing about these games. I'm talking about like new games that are freshly announced. Now, after September, we don't really have a lot, and Nintendo's not going to wait until February or 2026 to hold the Nintendo Direct to set up the next 6 months. So the exact spot that I think they would hold the Nintendo Direct is probably September, because by then a lot of these releases are already going to pass. July is going to pass, August is going to pass, the launch of the Switch 2 is going to pass. All of these third parties and new content coming to games like the Kirby game is going to pass, so naturally there would be a September Nintendo Direct, or, you know, even like an October or November Nintendo Direct. I think it's going to be a fall Nintendo Direct essentially. But yeah, that's just my thoughts and all the stuff that's leaded up to this point and what I think is going to happen. I'm going to make a video focusing on just how crazy it is what Nintendo is doing when it comes to just the amount of stuff that they're doing within the next 6 months. So make sure you guys are subscribed for that, and of course leave your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Let me know when you think the next Nintendo Direct is gonna be, and if they have already announced it by the time this video comes out, let me know what you want to see at that Nintendo Direct. This is gonna come out on the day of the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. So if they announce a Nintendo Direct then, fantastic. If not, well, I guess we might be waiting a little while. But we already have a lot of stuff to look forward to, so, you know, we're still going to be busy playing a lot of cool stuff. And again, like I said in the beginning of this video, my computer went kaput. That's why I'm a little late. Actually, I'm a lot late on this video. I mean, that's like 5 to 7 years of stuff. Luckily, I did back some of it up, but that's still a lot of stuff lost, so it sucks. But I gotta rebuild up my my streaming layouts and all that stuff, so that's gonna take some time. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.